What's up, everybody? Cash Sirois at the Industry Summit in Vegas. This is the Collectible Network, and this is UnPacking, our interview show, and this is Doug Caskey of Mojobreak. Thank you very much for being here, dude.
Thanks for having me, man. This is
it.
an awesome setup, and it's been a great show.
That's awesome. It has been amazing. Mojobreak, for those that don't know, I've had this this Ring of Honor situation when I first started the Collectible Network of a handful of breakers that I learned from. I was sitting at your altar or sitting in your classroom and learning without you knowing it or what we were planning here. Because we do some breaks on the Collectible Network, but we're going to be doing a whole lot more than that.
Right.
But you guys were one of the ones that we modeled our initial things after. So I want to publicly thank everybody. We started something called the Breakout to the Breakdown to pump up people's breaks, but I very rarely get the opportunity to thank people like you in person. So.
Appreciate
and attaboy.
You're welcome.
Tip of the cap to you.
Yeah, that's been one of our goals from day one, is just growing this, this hobby that we all love, and being able to, show people what we do and then learn from others on how to do it better and how to make the customer experience better and grow this hobby.
You know what I really love too is, there's jealousy in anything. Everybody wants to be the biggest and the best, but the breaker community kind of comes together and supports itself as much as possible. And so I want to get into your origin story in a second, because you're so far along now that somebody decided to start breaking in their back of their house or whatever. There's still room. They can still do it or whatever. So I would love to know about your origin story. I know you told me that it's $400 and out of your kitchen. Yep. How did Mojobreak start, and how have you grown?
The co-owner, Dan, he's been my friend since high school. So, we were roommates, and we were trying to figure out just different things to get into. And I had collected cards as a kid. My dad, and at Christmas, they would put the set under the tree, from Santa, and started in '86. And then in 1991, me and my dad collected Stadium Club and built the whole set by packs.
Cool.
So that was a very fond memory. And then I kind of got out of the hobby, teenager, got into music. I was in a band trying to be a rock star, right? And
how'd that work out for you?
I'm here doing cards.
Did you play or sing?
I was a singer.
Oh, really?
Yep. Dan played guitar and drums, and I was a singer.
What was the name of the band?
Our first band was Infernal Rage.
Subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, we were like a hard rock picture, like a Godsmack Metallica type band.
That sounds on brand.
Yeah. So, we tried to kind of get the local scene going, and then we even did some cover bands later where we played cover tunes and
cool.
Stuff like that. But we were looking for some ways to make some extra income. We live in the Bay Area, a very expensive place to live, and so we were looking on Craigslist, going to garage sales, trying to find things that we could sell on eBay and supplement the income that we had. I was working for
cards at the
time. But it leads me into the story of how the cards were discovered again. I was working in a flooring store and wasn't making a whole lot of money to survive. So I stumbled upon a Craigslist ad of a collection of cards, and it started at $1,000, and then the next week it was $500, and then a week later it was $200, and I said, maybe I can make some money off this. So I went and visited this guy, and it was in 2009, and I didn't know there was relics. I didn't know there was autos. I just remember 91 Stadium.
Yep.
So then that just blew my mind that there's signatures that come out of packs. There's the relics. So I went to my local card store, bought some packs, got hooked. Thought I was going to become a box reseller, right? I was like, I'm going to get a wholesale license, become a box reseller. Well, this happened in 2011 with Steven Strasberg.
Ah, yes.
And he was lighting the world on fire. Tommy John, box prices tanked to under cost. So I said, we can't make money doing this. So we kind of saw Chad from Firehand, Chris Justice doing these breaks, and we thought, these guys are kind of doing it for more fun. They're getting a spot into the break. Let's turn this thing into a business. Let's do pick your team style breaks. So we got our distributor's license or our resale license, and started with $400, did Series 1 in 2010 from our kitchen table, where we had to, you could only upload on YouTube 10-minute clips at a time.
Oh, wow.
And it was a 3-hour break because we were really slow.
Oh, yeah.
So you had I don't know, 30
How were you selling
clips.
the teams at the time?
We were selling them on eBay at the time.
Okay, so they started on eBay.
Yeah, and then eBay, which was, I'm glad they did this, is they stopped letting people sell teams. They consider it a chance listing. So later on they corrected that and let people sell, but at that time they didn't. So we said, you know what, we got to take this thing to a website. So we built the website, we took the names that we had on eBay, and we made a mailing list, so we promoted it, and we only had 50 to 100 people at the time, but we were just, hey, make us an offer, let's fill these breaks, and it was one day a week, then it was 2 days a week, and then now we're at the point 10 years later where it's 150 a week.
Unbelievable. What's for those that are maybe, breakers by themselves or a couple buddies with friends or whatever, how difficult was it to create the machine to handle the demand and do things smoothly? And something that I found out, which is very difficult, is the care and the packaging and the handling, which is the only thing that matters because you've got people's investments in your hands.
Exactly.
How difficult were those growing pains?
We didn't have a whole lot of, how-to guides at that time.
Yeah.
So it was, connecting with guys like Rich from Layton and talking about how they did things, like, hey, maybe instead of putting it in a bubble mailer and double bubbling it, let's put it in a box, or, negotiating deals with FedEx to get the cost down to ship it better with FedEx.
Yeah.
And, getting solid people on your team to help you keep up with the demand. And it was just, like anything else, trial and error. Don't be afraid to try something if it's going to be better for your customers.
I don't want to, don't want to jinx anything, but the news that's hit everybody here, with Fanatics coming in, Topps, MLB, NBA, I don't want to say this thing is, the breakers are recession-proof, because there's ups and downs in every market, right?
Yeah.
So that will play. But I feel like the breakers are probably going to be okay no matter who's producing the cards moving forward. Now, what the financials of that will be interesting, and
Right.
we'll see what happens. But like where distribution, I can see there's fluttering hearts,
Right.
Do you see things that way? Do you see, because the breaking community, as long as the price point is too high for anybody to get a big
Right.
box of cards, then the breaking thing will continue.
It has to be kind of crowdsourced, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I think that we were talking about before this Fanatics deal happened was everybody was talking about when the bubble's going to burst, right? Well, we're not talking about that anymore when an $18 billion company comes in and sees value in the hobby, right?
Yeah.
So I think the things that's great for breakers is we kind of have, in a sense, an open canvas. We can do a mixer, we can do jerseys, we can create things that are unique. And I think that might be a good thing, is it's going to create, depending on how this shakes out, which there's obviously a lot of speculation, but we're allowed to kind of create different things, different ways. Everybody does things differently, and that's unique to your customer base.
Breaker philosophy. Breaking a full case of X
Yeah.
versus a mixer. I find it far more enjoyable doing mixers.
Yep.
I don't know, what are the pluses and the minuses from somebody who does it
Yeah, we
ton
do
more
it both,
than I do.
and we find that we love mixers because you can put different years in, right? So maybe last year nobody wanted Arizona because they didn't really. They had Isaiah Simmons for the Arizona Cardinals,
Right.
but you throw in a 2019 box and now you got Kyler Murray. So we do. And we've even done almost up to 1,000 box mixers, that are really on the high end, down to 4 or 5 box mixers, where you get value in all those teams, especially if you're doing random teams.
Yeah.
People don't feel slighted if they got the Browns because maybe they have a chance at Baker Mayfield.
Right.
So I think that creates value and it creates uniqueness and brings a lot of variety to the table.
A couple questions that I've been asking everybody. First off, Fanatics coming in or whatever, got to make a prediction. Where do you see things in the industry in 5 years?
I hate to use the word, and somebody criticized me on my own podcast where I say, this industry was kind of like an underground band that sold out. I think we're going to get more eyeballs on this industry. Mm-hmm. So I don't know whether that's going to be good, whether that's going to be bad, but I'm excited and I'm ready for the challenge. I think once we find out if they're going to either buy Topps, buy Panini, I think that's what's going to answer that. That's what we're going to have, more of an idea of what's going to happen.
And that's the thing. I don't see how they do Fanatics hardball cards, and
Right.
that's the new thing. It's just very jarring, and there's, respectfully, the valuations of companies fall when they don't have the, the MLB logo or whatever, so it's suddenly the $200 box that you were saying is, now we need to buy it, and all the infrastructure's there, and the name lives on. That makes too much sense, I think, for everybody. But
Right. Yeah, and I think that, hopefully we keep the scarcity because I think that's what drives us hot.
that's the scariest thing for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Have we learned? We as a human species tend to not learn from our mistakes.
Right.
The way that we should. And That's the only thing that scares me a little bit is that.
But you gotta,
plus, there's not the 3 or 5 year contracts that you have to prove yourself to get the new contract again. 20 years, we're all in bed together, and does that create complacency?
Right. I mean, one thing I would like to think is this is obviously a huge corporation. They've got to be hiring marketing companies or hiring somebody to do some research for the next 4 or 5 years to see what actually is driving this hobby.
Yeah.
The other side of the we're all speculating. It's all rumors
Sure,
at the time. That some people think that instead of putting the 99 Trevor Lawrences in the box, they're going to put the 99 Trevor Lawrences on their website. And let them run or have a set price. I mean, so I hope that doesn't happen. Maybe they'll do part of both. You see it with Panini. They have the instant. They have Panini Instant or Topps Now, and then they do supplement with the cards.
Yep. So. Then the 2 final questions. The journey that got you here started somewhere. What is the first thing that you collected? What's the first thing that you wanted, that you had to have? Was it a specific card? What was it that
I'm a huge Giants fan, so when I jumped back into the hobby, it was in 2010, and I actually got my dog named Posey,
All right.
So I was always on the lookout for the 2008 Bowman draft, first Bowman Buster Posey, which I have a few now, and I still try to look for those. So, I was a big baseball guy coming into it, and buying Elite, buying Bowman, I always felt, that was something that, you get a guy that's in minors for 4 years, you can kind of follow him, and it's fun to see, he hit 4, like Wander Franco, he hit 4 home runs, in the minors, and he's probably coming up soon. Do I have that card? Let me dig through the box.
Yeah, cool. And then the last thing, having everybody pick 2 to 3 names, not Mahomes, not Brady, not LeBron, 2 to 3 names that 3 years from now is maybe a $15, $10, $50, $100 card now that's going to be a $3,000 card in 3 years.
I'd hate to. I mean, I think people.
I know it's a difficult question.
Yeah, I was gonna say hit is a. Yeah, I mean, I've been on Kyler Murray. I think with his first game, obviously beating the Titans. Mm-hmm. I think people are going to go back to those 2019 products because the 2020 products are already kind of high with the Burrow and the Herbert, and that's kind of when the industry exploded. I think the 2019 product with Kyler is going to do well. I'm a big fan of Manuel Quickly too.
I am too.
I think that the Knicks have been starving for a star, and they were on the cusp of a
that's one of my favorites.
Playoff. Yeah, so I mean his RPAs are fairly cheap compared to LaMelo Ball and some of the other guys.
Yep.
So I'm a big guy on. I shouldn't be saying this. I'm trying to buy him.
No, listen, trust me. I know. I did the same. I was doing the same with Cam Akers because I thought that he was ready to pop, and so that Achilles injury just freaking killed me. And I've been buying 2 of the last several months as well because. And I even told people on my breaks and I'm like doing that. Another one that I've been doing is the 86 Mets cards because there's a 30 for 30 coming out, a 4-piece.
Oh, okay.
It's not as big as The Last Dance, which was 10-piece, but I think it's going to come out during the playoffs or whatever called There Was Once a Time in Queens or something like that.
Yeah.
That is going to have all those guys, all their sordid stories.
Yep.
I think they're going to get back into the pop culture, and they were so massive that's one that I've been.
Yeah,
that's not going to have the pop.
The Jordan documentary.
Right, correct. That's not going to have the pop of the 3-year thing that I'm asking you about. But since we're sharing secrets,
and I like that because I focus on a lot of vintage too. I'm a low pop guy. I like to buy things that are there's not a lot of them. And like vintage basketball. Like I know Bill Russell gets expensive. I was able to acquire one of those, like a PSA 5. But some of the old Bob Cousy's and stuff like that, where there's not a lot of it made.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't fit into your question, but
no.
I like the 86 brought up that memory of the vintage stuff.
Yeah. 83 tops traded Strawberry, 84 tops traded Gooden. I've been scooping them up.
And I think who it's also undervalued that has gone up a little bit is Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin Young Guns.
Really?
Yes. I think once both guys retire, I think Ovechkin's going to break one of the records, and then I think Crosby's going to look at as one of the greatest hockey Olympians of all time.
Yeah, you're true.
And he's represents Canada, right? Yeah. So it's going to be. So I've been trying to buy some of those. I feel like hockey's on the cusp of really kind of getting it big.
Everybody that I've talked to these last couple of days, it's been hockey and F1 have been the things that people have been bubbling up on.
Do you think F1 really jumped because of the Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah.
My father raced offshore powerboats.
Oh, wow.
And the American Powerboat Association, we're still in the family, whatever, and they're trying to get themselves up and running, and they've actually come and talked to us about trying to emulate that broadcast for offshore, which has never been as hot and not as big, but it's really expensive to do that stuff.
I saw that in the documentary on the guys,
The Cocaine Cowboys.
Yes, that was phenomenal.
My dad raced boats against Sal and Willie Magluta.
Wow.
I met them in the wet pits during races.
Yeah.
And I've got a sports talk radio show on the Ticket in Dallas on the weekends, and we had Billy Corbin, the director, on our show to talk about that because we grew up in Miami as well. So he's a fascinating guy, crazy storyteller.
Yes.
And so that offshore powerboat part of that thing was something that we were involved in with our dad racing against these big drug dealers.
Right.
And my dad raced for Popeye's Chicken.
Right.
So we had the
legitimate income.
We had the legitimate Popeye's money, and we thought we were doing good, but we didn't have that kind of money.
Right. That was there really isn't a whole lot of water sports that have kind of transcended into the collectible community. So I could definitely see something like that taking off, especially on the heels of the F1.
Doug Caskey, Mojo Breaks, thanks for being on the Collectible Network.
Thanks for having me. This was a fun conversation.
Cool, man.